Thank you, Carly, for two things. One, for inviting me here and giving me the difficult post-lunch slot. If you could all stay awake, that'd be great. But if not, and two, for showing me my first limestone pavement yesterday. So I feel like a complete fraud in front of all your experts, but I'm here just to give you a general introduction to the garden, and then Erin's going to take over and show you our crazy limestone pavement project. So the Shuttleworth Botanic Garden is the brainchild of Mark Shuttleworth, an IT entrepreneur and the first South African that went into space. Luckily for us, his passion is not in fast cars and football clubs, but in nature and plants and building landscapes. Which way do I point this thing?
Should just be anywhere. Should work. Is it not?
So I'll use that instead.
Yeah, but maybe. Oh, it's. Yeah, just use that for that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The garden began life in 2010 when he bought a property called Mallard in the southeast corner of the Isle of Man. Originally, it was a dairy farm, so much of the land was improved and semi-improved pasture, sort of separated with quite sparse hedgerows and earthen banks topped with gorse. The site is sort of split by a valley that runs north to south. On either side of that valley, there are hilltops that are about 95 metres above sea level. They're really exposed to southwesterly prevailing winds. Temperatures in the Isle of Man are fairly similar to here, pretty equitable. We get cool winters and mild summers, and we get plenty of rain too, about 800 to 900 mil a year, which is similar to here. It has felt like a lot more than that over the last 6 months though. And we often get strong and gusting and salt-laden winds. So it's fairly safe to say that the climate is very much maritime. And this sort of really impacts on the site. And as a result of that, we've been, over the last 10 years, planting hundreds of thousands of native trees to turn these sort of narrow hedgelands into much wider, more complex windbreaks so that we can plant our living landscapes into them. And we found that this is really good for wildlife as well, providing cover and what have you. And to do that, we have a special machine here, which we bought last year, actually. And this is mechanized process, much more efficient. And so that like drills holes in rows, and then we go along and plant into those holes afterwards. But a lot of it in the past has been done by hand, and it usually takes from October till about November to get those trees in the ground. And so that's things like willow and birch, alder, rowan, and yews as well, junipers, and all sorts of good stuff. And the team currently stands around 50 people. We became an accredited botanic garden in 2024. And since then, our work has begun to focus on a series of landscapes with living collections that hopefully will provide opportunities for ex situ conservation and research into plant adaptability and face climate change. So we'd like to work with a multidisciplinary team of conservation researchers such as yourselves, sensitive landscape designers, and hopefully knowledgeable horticulturists. And we aim to create immersive landscapes that will hopefully provide real conservation value as well as an authentic sense of place where, you know, visitors in the future will feel the spirit of these sort of often threatened landscapes. One such project that we're doing is a Chilean project. We're working with the University of Conception in Chile, in particular with their landscape ecology lab, where we're aiming to recreate as closely as possible a series of reference ecosystems. And we're hopefully going to be planting some emblematic species such as the Nothofagus, the southern beech, and Embothrium coccinneum, which is the Chilean firebush. So the integrity of these projects really relies on getting well-provenanced seed material, which we hopefully will then be able to propagate from and introduce into the landscape. So the nursery really is sort of the bedrock of our operations. Can anyone tell me what that seed on the left is? Monkey puzzle. Put your hand up. Who said that? Good work. Monkey puzzle tree. We've actually sown, I think, like 1,000 of those and planted about 500 to 600 in the landscape in our ancient garden. So yes, we have dedicated staff and propagation facilities on site, and that's what sort of 300,000 trees looks like. So speaking of bedrock, the Isle of Man is composed mostly of not carboniferous. It's not carboniferous. It's mostly Manx slate, which is metamorphic slate. There is a small patch of calcareous soil which is around Castletown in the south. There's definitely no limestone pavements until now.
Thank you, Andy. Just tell you a bit about myself. I've got a bachelor's in science in biological sciences from the University of Warwick, but I find myself, I love the outdoors. I like being there. Gardening suits me. But now I'm going to tell you that now you have an idea of what SPG is about. I'm going to tell you about the first ex situ cast limestone pavement we're creating as part of our garden. By the end of this talk, I hope you'll all be excited about the opportunity of collaboration, potential major contribution to the protection of these precious landscapes. So, why does SVG want to develop this landscape? Well, KLPs are a natural fit for our mission as a temperate biome of valuable conservation value. We want to showcase the variety of plant species thriving and dependent on the range of niches present, from the dry, sun-exposed flint surfaces to the cool, moist microclimates of grikes. So that means showcasing species that are widely scarce elsewhere in Great Britain, such as the pretty mountain avon, the elusive rigid buckler fern, and the vibrant dark helleborine. In short, KLPs are a collection of unique and diverse ecosystems with high conservation value. And that means they're worth celebration and advocacy. After the conservation value is expressed, we stress their protection by educating on their formation. That means expressing the glacial activity and the overall millennia required for their development, thereby highlighting their irreplaceability and vulnerability to permanent loss. Oh, that bit was supposed to wait. Oh, we'll see. Yeah. This could be in part expressed with a display, one where water is allowed to drip and erode the rock, expressing the age taken for the grikes and fishes to form. So we could have a timer that would express the time it takes for it to drip. I think Carly mentioned to me that in the Burrens they have a very similar display, so I might do something a bit different. We'll see. So we also want to endeavour to highlight the threats to conservation, such as mining, lack of scientific research, and the subsequent lack of informed land management and restoration guidance. As I'll soon explain to you, we intend to contribute to scientific research, striving to mitigate these threats. But while we're on the note of threats, that kind of ironically brings us to the origins of our landscape. And that's because the flints used to create our landscape came from a licensed quarry located in County Mayo. Don't worry, those flints were overburdened, they were identified in stockpiles in the early 2000s. The Carboniferous limestone, much like that found here in Lancaster, was purchased and shipped to us in the Isle of Man. Over 8 months, the salvaged stone was slung and orientated onto a solid bed. This bed consisted of upcycled building materials and soil and stone sourced from a local limestone quarry found on the Isle of Man. This process ensured the unique stone. The design of the structure we have today is built with consideration of flint, dimensions, colour, and general character. This process ensures unique stone is not crushed and used for tarmac or road construction, as mentioned earlier, but instead used to create a valuable asset. The first ex situ conservation of cast limestone pavement ever anywhere in the world, as far as we know. Eventually, we plan to have this landscape surrounded by calcareous grassland to complete our representation of temperate calcareous biomes. Hopefully, this will give visitors a sense of place, space, and wonder they feel when visiting these environments in situ. That's because we believe that the best way to engage the public is to give them the experience of being surrounded by nature. Then, you know, visitors and us, we can all start having as much fun as this bloke seems to be having. I mean, does look like a great time. So now we've got an idea of how our landscape's going to fit into the wider picture. So this is where it gets exciting, really, because moving forward, if we want to authentically reflect KLPs, there must be an understanding of how these ecosystems function, because otherwise, how can we build them? That can only be provided by scientific input. Example, scientific input is needed to determine which features of KLPs can realistically be replicated. As KLPs occur across diverse climates, their ecosystems vary vastly. Given our site's exposed coastal conditions, we have to assess whether both upland and lowland flora can survive there. If not, what management or protocols could be utilised to help their establishments? Or would it be a better idea just to represent a site that is climatically comparable to what we have? These are questions we have for you. We don't know the answers yet. Already, we've been privileged enough to have Professor Carly Stevens, which I'm sure you all know, come and visit our site. She's already given us invaluable insights into the challenges faced and strategies required in creating an ex situ KLP landscape. Insights from this one visit includes the importance of recreating the microclimates found within grikes, because currently the grikes, or spaces between our plinths, aren't deep enough to recreate those microclimates. So a solution to that could just be moving the plinths, or even talk about, you know, we could get blocks of limestone put under the plinths to make them deeper, make them a bit bigger, give that sense of space. And that way we could let species such as Actea spicata or the poisonous baneberry, they could thrive there then. At the moment, I don't think they do very well. Think about that. Another key insight we were given is that grikes should be filled with humic or high organic matter soil. We could, such as that like peat, but we could monitor where natural buildup occurs with the ferns we have currently, the ones we might implement. So that can inform us where to add this soil to reflect natural buildup patterns found in situ. Other insights we found were protecting ferns and leaving them attached to the rock as they act as pioneer species. Weed management, removing grass, keeping ivy in check, and deterring rabbits because their presence can be detrimental to grike ecosystems. That's quite poignant for us because we do have our fair share of rabbits on site. I do mean our fair share. Bit of a challenge. So, we've now covered how you can all help us collect research and give us information on how to informally recreate a KLP landscape. Now I want to cover how Got a bit lost there. Yeah, well, basically how we can contribute to research, to scientific management for you guys. Because I believe that the greatest contribution SVG can make is to collect research on the success or failure of plant introduction protocols. The project of this nature is unprecedented. It provides unique opportunities. Through collaborations with universities such as Lancaster, these protocols could be designed as experiments. That could uncover unknown species characteristics, including specific conditions required for plants to thrive. This would improve understanding of how KLP ecosystems function, thereby informing in situ conservation efforts. Examples of plant introduction protocols could be sowing seeds directly on site, growing them in a glass house before introducing them into the landscape, or applying seeds and spores in clay-like soil to encourage gradual attachment. We're not sure which would work best just yet. But that sort of information and the success or failure of these protocols could then inform how to better restore failing KLP ecosystems. In the future, when our landscape is established, even landscape management trials could be designed without the risk of impacting natural landscapes. Such a study can investigate the effect of canopy cover on gripe biodiversity, which has been spoken about here today. So it's relevant because in recent surveys, species composition has substantially changed since the 70s. This, alongside declining species richness in sites with high canopy cover, suggests the increased canopy cover over time is having a detrimental effect on gripe ecosystems. So this is of concern for the future of KLPs, as the extent of pavement covered by trees and large shrubs has increased by around 62% in 50 years. So any information on why this is happening and the effect that canopy cover have could really be helpful in informing management in the future. So, in conclusion, SVG has built the foundations of a landscape to advocate for these unique, biodiverse, and beautiful landscapes. Having said that, the quality of the contribution to conservation we can make will ultimately depend on the strength of its scientific collaboration. So, having shared our progress and ambitions, if you've got any thoughts, ideas, we'd really appreciate them. So please do get in touch at e.lacey@shuttleworthmechanic.com. Thank you very much for listening.
Like, why are we mad enough to do it? That's an excellent question, which I can't answer. So.
Okay, Brett, so when you bought the crypto books, like, they found things on them.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Has it so much?
We've got some ferns growing on there. Not really been identified in that much. Basically, flips been moved, put there, but we haven't really thought about what we can do with them yet.
I'm sure they're fireflies too.
Well,
That's a good
now
email.
I need to look at it.
I seem to remember there was Splenium rutimuraria and Splenium cucumbers. Not an awful lot on us, but there was a bit of fire. I think it was mostly DM and the thing that's exciting. But it doesn't. You need a full survey of what you've got, really, don't you?
Well, that's it. But I don't know whether we can do that. I suppose.
I always do it.
Yeah.
Worth visiting.
Yeah, I was just it's your plan to plant into the grapes prior to creating your calcareous grass buffer around the edge, or are you just thinking about seed source?
You think that if we put the grassland in, it might then.
Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing the question out, and have you thought about creating a more natural habitat around it as well? So
Well, we were
maybe-
talking about this with the ratics and things, if you could put them there, because it's really, we want to, advocate for these places. So we want people to be interested, or to show the Grike sort of ecosystems and things. At the moment, we're planning to sort of remove the topsoil around the site and put calcareous soil there, and then try and propagate the grassland. But it's flexible. There's no definite timeline just yet.
Yeah, the plan is, I think, we're sort of looking at this next month, actually. The plan is to sort of work with Manx Wildlife Trust, and they have an area around Billown Quarry, which is like a calcareous sort of soil around there and sward. We're going to try and source material from there and use that on our site. But like walking around with Carly yesterday was really fascinating, because I can't think that I've knowingly stepped on a cast limestone pavement before, but can't appreciate these landscapes until you actually see them with your own eyes. And just this sort of the wider context around the limestone pavement is really important. So Carly was suggesting that we go the 3 H's: hazel, hawthorn, and holly, and use them as like a sort of an introduction to the garden. You can kind of walk through that sort of before you then come into the open area.
So in the wider environment, that would be the natural seeds. So you are really replicating the wider landscape rather than just the pavement itself.
Yeah.
It's it's I'm not a geologist. Geological feature, it's geological feature, but it's really affected by the surrounding vegetation. So I think that would be really great.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds like you're already thinking.
I think the plan was just to do calcareous glass on, but I haven't seen it yesterday. Makes me realise actually we need to choose more erratics, more larger, like sort of a random selection of rock plus, the rubbish stuff as well. But yeah, it is an insane thing to do, really.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm not sure from Friends of the Lake District. In my life, I used to run the Limestone Pavement Partnership for JNCC. You said that you're not aware of other places that have got.
Oh, here we go. Shoot us down.
Right, if I was you, I'd contact Harlow Carr,
Yeah.
Ivor
Okay.
Castle, Cambridge Botanic Gardens, because all 3 of them have got actual limestone pavement.
Okay.
They're not natural in the same way as this one hopes to be, but we did the interpretation for 2. So there's quite a lot of information that already exists on that.
We can talk about
Secondly, one of the things about this is trying to deter people from trying to replicate something like this on a small scale in their own gardens or localities. Because at the time I was running the project, you could still buy limestone pavement from garden centres. So it's a case of like actually getting a message out that this is not for sale. This is not.
It's not cool, dude.
Stop
Stop stealing our rock.
So yeah, it's just like when I saw those images to start with, I'm like, oh my god, where have they got this from?
They were left to it. They would have been used. They'd been crushed otherwise.
No, I understand that, but it's just like raped from the bones. Something like that.
No, I definitely wasn't saying from the orange. It was the Quarry and County Mayo. It was all
Yeah, so
we haven't paid
those
for
2 points. Yeah, it's just I'm interested in whether
Yeah.
you come across the 3 gardens that we
No.
have.
it.
No, but that,
Get your email.
yes, I'll read your detail.
Okay.
Right. I think
Thank you.
we're going to have to move on.
Carly's
Yeah.
I must say that I think Cambridge Botanic Garden has an artificially built limestone pavement.
Really?
I think so.
Because of course the gardens that you mentioned, they haven't tried to recreate the limestone pavement flora. They are rock gardens, basically.
Yeah.
But
Well-
they've used the flints to do that.
Yeah, well, the Cambridge Botanic Gardens, they consulted with me on what they should put on their interpretation boards. So there's quite a lot of.
Okay.
The story which one of the limestone pavement exploiters used to say was that the then boss, before Donald Biggett, had walked around his limestone pavement with him and had chosen the very stones he wanted to go to Cambridge.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I know farmers that, watched as limestone pavement was removed from their commons and get really sold on and. You know,
Well, farmers got diversified, don't they?
but and sometimes though, without permission or anything, quite a lot of limestone was stolen
Right.
as well. So